Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to look at Keyboarding Online Lesson 2. But before we do that, it's always a good idea to review. If you recall, we started with our introduction lesson. You can always go back and just be reminded of some of those techniques that you want to pick up as you learn new keys, especially good technique like sitting up straight, feet flat on the floor in front of you, and eyes on the copy. If you need some extra practice with spacing between letters, you can do that. You can also practice the enter key in the introduction lesson. But we're moving along to the lessons menu and lesson 2 today. We did learn and talk about home row keys. Remember, it's good to go back and practice. You can always go back with these lessons and practice something you're not comfortable with. Hopefully, as your instructor teaches you the home row, you spend a good bit of time on the home row because there are 8 keys in all, and it's very important that you are comfortable with those keys and find them without looking. So in my classes, we have keyboard covers, so when we look down, you're not able to see the keys or your fingers. So placing your fingers in home row, you can also feel if you're in the correct place with the F and J keys. There's a little bit of a raised bump there. I like to have my students practice in the beginning by dropping their hands to their sides. Fingers go into a natural curve position. Close your eyes, bring your fingers to the home row and feel for F and J. Check your posture, and if you're ready, then you begin typing. Now we are moving on to lesson 2 today. In lesson 2, you want to just kind of see where you should be. All of my students are on 6 words a minute. That's the lowest acceptable speed and when we're first learning the keys, and we always move on from there. But in the beginning, it's not about speed, it's about accuracy, hitting the correct keys the first time. Make sure your line is not too long, and if you can make it a lot smaller type, but I like it to have it as big as I can without it going over to a second line like that. So I bring it back to where it's just on one line. When you place your cursor in the box, then you're ready to type. Always look to see what the length of your timing. So for this one, it is just 15 seconds, and it's strictly a review of the home keys. We get a couple of lines of type where it's just review. But when the keyboard pops up, you know it's time to learn a new reach. Today, it's going to be T for starters. F types T. Notice how it lights up in yellow. It's a reach up and to the right. With my cursor in the box, my hands in home position, my best technique, I start striking the keys as if they were hot and thinking silently each key as I strike it until I begin to memorize. T, T, T space, F, T, F space. Nice, consistent pace. F, A, T space, F, A, T. Okay, when the box lights up, the red box, it means my time is out, and I check my score. So now I have 2 scores, and I'm ready to move on to the next timing. So the next timing is also going to be practices with the T key, maybe some different combinations with your home keys, but it's still practice for the T key. Moving along to line 7, we learn the E key is controlled by the D finger. So when I click with my mouse, it lights up in green, so D and only D will control the E key. Place my cursor in the box and begin. D, D, D space, E, E, E space, D, D, D space, E, E, E space, D, E, D space, D, E, D space, E, D, and that's it. So I did get a good score, 20 words a minute, no errors. I can move on to the next timing. Remember, mine is just a teacher's account, but in your accounts, most of them, my students are set up to where they can have 0 errors on a 15-second timing for the most part, 6 words a minute minimum, and scores required usually 2 for each line. But I can adjust that, and that's what I like about Keyboarding Online. I have a lot more control over the lessons, and I can see my students' progress as they progress through the lessons. So that's our E key. We're going to move on to line 8. Also, more practice with the E key. Line 9, some reminders. Always have some fingers on the home row as a guide. Line 10, learn the H key reach with the J finger. Here's H, directly to the left of J, so J and only J will control it. With my cursor in the box, thinking as I strike, J, 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 space, H, 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 space, J, 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 space, H, 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 space, J, H, J, space, J, H, J, space, H, and that's it. So I actually struck an incorrect key as I was talking. I made a mistake. I was allowed one error, so it's going to give me a score. But again, on a 15-second timing, usually it says no errors allowed, but I got a score. So this is a way for you to see too where your errors are. If you're making multiple letter errors in the line, it will light up in yellow. So I'm glad that it got to show you that. So as we move along, line 11, more practice for the H key. A reminder, straighten the J finger to tap the H key. And now we're going to practice all the keys. Now this line will actually represent, and the remaining lines, all of the keys that we've learned so far. Home row, T, E, and H. And we're beginning with 30-second timings, but as we move along, you'll notice here in line 16, it becomes a 1-minute timing. So it's good to practice over and over, and don't get frustrated. You should always finish what you start. We're going to be talking about effort as we go. If you click on daily effort, which I like to show my students, you can get a date range. You can say, if we're just checking for the week, click since Sunday to see how many effort minutes you have. I have 2 minutes of effort so far this week. And then return to your lessons menu and continue typing. So normally we allow about a week per lesson, but like I say, unless for home row keys, there were multiple keys to learn there, so we spent 2 to 3 weeks on lesson 1. But now from this point on, it'll be probably a week per lesson. So good luck, and I'll see you on the next tape.